Congresswoman, thank you so very much for having this opportunity and having an interview with Afghanistan International. So many of our audiences know that you personally introduced two bills regarding Afghanistan, Afghan refugees, and Afghan women. Let's start with the first bill, Enduring Welcome Act. What is it about, and what is the status of that bill currently?
Well, thank you so much for having me on this program and for taking the time to talk about a very important issue. I am the ranking member on the subcommittee on Central and South East Asia. And so one of the countries under the jurisdiction is Afghanistan. And so I have begun to learn a little bit more about the country and the issues that are there. And it has been a good opportunity for me to remind my colleagues about the importance of the Afghan people, the allies who helped us during the war, and the women and girls who were also quite instrumental and are now under attack. The bill that you mentioned is about saying thank you and honoring our promise to our Afghan allies, the men and women who risked their lives to protect our country, and our men and women in the military who were there fighting the Taliban. And we promised that we would be there for them after the war, that we would help them come here or go other places, find safety, get education. That was our way of saying thank you for working to protect democracy. I don't think that that's a difficult bill. And I assume that there would be widespread bipartisan support. And there was. It passed overwhelmingly in a bipartisan way. And then at the 11th hour, it was yanked out of this larger bill because of the posture coming out of the White House, which is saying that we should repatriate our Afghan allies back to Afghanistan, where surely they will be attacked or targeted by the Taliban.
Yeah, so as you may know, many Afghans are concerned and curious to know what would be their immigration status. So people who worked with American military in Afghanistan, many of them are currently now in third countries, Qatar, Pakistan, and other places. And many of them are living in Afghanistan, of course, in a very dangerous situation. And there are many Afghan Americans in the United States, including in California, in Los Angeles, that are curious to know what is the next step for them.
It's a good question, and I don't know that I have an easy answer. Under the last administration, there was a promise to do right by our Afghan allies. Under this administration, I feel like we're walking in quicksand. Visas still have to be approved. They may not be extended. We're seeing that happen in other instances with folks that we assumed would be protected under a particular status, and they are no longer given that kind of protection. We know that there are some countries that have helped us resettle Afghans, and now some of those countries are saying to us, time is up. And I don't think it has anything to do with Afghanistan or the Afghans who are there. It has more to do with our foreign policy agenda and how that is impacting our relationship with those countries. So it's incredibly fluid, and that's not something that you want to hear when you're thinking about your own safety and your ability to remain in a country and try to resettle and put your kids in school and get a job and feel safe and not have to worry about one day just being shipped back to Afghanistan. My hope is that Congress can exert our pressure and continue to share the stories of the Afghan people, especially those who helped us, to pressure the administration to retreat from some of these postures that I think are disastrous, but also detrimental to the safety and protection of Afghans.
Sure. So as you mentioned, as many of our audiences know, you're part of the Foreign Affairs Committee at the House of Representatives. So also we know that in the past, during the some hearings about Afghanistan. You asked about, Afghans who helped Americans in Afghanistan. You asked State Department officials. So we would like to know what were the responses from the Trump administrations to you, to your colleagues, regarding all these concerns that you are aware of very well.
Well, I've tried to use my time in our hearings to ask very pointed questions to all of the officials coming to us from the administration. If it's the Secretary of State, if it's the Assistant Secretary, whoever they bring before us, I ask about this issue. And I will say that during the hearings, we've gotten, relatively positive responses, although very ambiguous. But I think I'm spending my time more productively talking on the phone with folks after the hearings, or having classified briefings and continued discussions about what we are doing. I think we're making some headway. I think what the administration knows is that there is a woman on the committee who is committed to the Afghan community and to having this country do right by them. I feel like a dog with a bone. I am not going to let it go. And they see that. And so we've gotten, more responses. It's continued follow-up. I think we've been helpful in telling them, don't do this because this is bad. Please don't send Afghans to the Congo. Come up with another solution. We've been, I think, very forceful and successful at shaming the administration into, shelving some ideas that are not going to be beneficial to the Afghan people. It is the behind-the-scenes work that I think is as important as the questions we ask in our hearing.
So the bill that we are talking about, Enduring Welcome Act, includes some very important details regarding Afghan refugees or Afghan translators. So including supporting the CARE program at the State Department. So may we understand whether this bill may get passed through the House and Senate, or possibly get, become a law in the United States?
The Welcome Enduring Act.
Yes.
I remain hopeful. I think the more we keep talking about this issue and building bipartisan support, the stronger chance we have of it getting passed. That bill got passed with overwhelming support. There was another bill that I did that also got passed with overwhelming bipartisan support. And in fact, we had as many Republicans putting their mics up to speak about the importance of the bill as we did Democrats. That's what Americans need to see. That's also what the Afghan community needs to see, that we have not forgotten them, and that we are going to continue to treat this as the bipartisan issue that it is.
Yeah, I have a few questions about the second bill, rejecting the erasure of Afghan women and girls. So at this moment that we are having this conversation about Afghan women and girls, many girls and women got attacked by the Taliban forces in west part of Afghanistan, Herat. Many young girls got arrested by the Taliban because of the dress code. So it's a very, very hard time for Afghan women and girls. Well, this bill is a hope for many. We would like to know what is the status of this bill and what this bill exactly would do.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That gives me hope. I think this is a very important bill that talks about a serious issue, the treatment of Afghan women and girls. And I will say women and girls around the globe have a lot of challenges, but I think it's particularly acute for Afghan women and girls who are regularly dehumanized and erased by the Taliban. So the bill would do a few things. It would promote the support of international support of education for Afghan women and girls. We know education is so important, and we know that education is not something that the Taliban wants for Afghan women and girls. It would have the State Department document the treatment from the Taliban to women and girls, to document the human rights violations that are occurring and the conditions under which Afghan women and girls are forced to live under the Taliban. And it would say that the United States does not recognize the Taliban as a legitimate government, especially given the lack of protections that they are giving to Afghan women and girls. I think those are three specific things that it does, and hopefully those things actually show our resounding support for the humanization and protection of Afghan women and girls.
Yeah, so you mentioned a very important point that the United States of America should not recognize Taliban as a legitimate government of Afghanistan unless they respect women and all people of Afghanistan. Yes. But many people say in the past 4 or 5 years, the experience showed that Taliban do not recognize human rights at all. So do you think that you will have the support of your colleagues, Republicans and Democrats, regarding this matter here at Congress?
I certainly do. This is a bipartisan issue. It might be one of the last remaining bipartisan issues here in Congress at this time. We had both Republicans and Democrats speak up in support of the bill. I will also say that I have been to a number of events here and I've heard from advocates for Afghan women and girls who have talked about the conditions under which the women are living. And at the particular hearing, there were some Afghan women in the audience. And seeing them, having them there, really humanizes this issue. It puts a face to the policies that we are talking about. And we need to do more of that so that we are connected through our humanity and we are reminded of the courage of Afghan women and girls, not just those who helped us during the war, but also those who are persevering under this regime and living very precariously under it. So we are going to keep talking about the issue, but I have high hopes that it will get passed.
Congresswoman, as long as I understand, one part of this bill is that the State Department and also other U.S. entities that get paid by taxpayers should document any abuses and violence against women, about people of Afghanistan, especially women and girls. So do you think that the State Department has the will to listen to you and your colleagues and do so, or they are busy with other things?
I have faith in the American people to continue to say this is important. It's the morally right thing to do. And last I checked, there are still some people working at the State Department who have the tools to document this. I've had repeated conversations with the Assistant Secretary on this issue, and I have faith that it will get done. It certainly won't happen if we're not pushing, but if we're all pushing together, I have hope.
So as long as we understand, so you mentioned that also that you are in touch with some Afghan Americans and people who care about Afghan women's human rights in Afghanistan. So I would like to know overall your opinion about Afghanistan in a political level. Many people say that Afghanistan got forgotten by the United States, and many people do not care what is happening there. But many others argue that many Afghans work with the United States military, and human rights is not just it's a national security thing for the U.S. as well. Afghanistan, had been a dangerous place for all of us, for the United States, for American people, for Afghan people, and ignoring that country and the situation would be quite dangerous for all people, including American people. So I would like to know your thoughts, your takeaways about this.
Americans tend to have a short-term memory when it comes to some of our foreign policy failures. And there was a lot of talk during the last administration about the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And this is an opportunity for us to correct some of those mistakes and to learn from them as well. History is important. I've had so many conversations with veterans, with advocates, with human rights organizers, with Afghans who are here, and they're such a committed community when it comes to sharing these stories and doing right by the Afghan community. It's a very important country. It's in a very precarious region. I think we owe it to ourselves and our national security portfolio to stay committed to the region and to really work to neutralize or disarm the Taliban as much as possible. You know, stability is what we should be working towards, not instability, especially in the region. I do think, as a result, that there are some folks that want to move beyond this issue. But I will also say that behind closed doors, folks do talk about it. We have a lot of folks in Congress who are veterans, and they say the commitment is to do right by those who helped you. We have a lot of folks in Congress who care about foreign policy, who care about diplomacy, who understand the importance of development in countries. And they say, how can we do right by Afghanistan, and how can we do our part? How can we do our part to create some more stability? So while we are dealing with an administration that might have a different perspective on Afghanistan, I think those in Congress see that we have a commitment that we must honor.
So how Republicans and Democrats, your colleagues, view Afghanistan at Congress? I know in some ways they, including about the bills, many Republicans were with you, as long as I understand. But overall, about Afghanistan and in human rights situation and avoiding any recognition of the Taliban. So how the two parties view that overall?
I think there's a lot of synergy. Both Republicans and Democrats see the Taliban as illegitimate and do not think it should be recognized. I am policy co-chair for the Democratic Women's Caucus. This is an issue that's important to us. So the Democratic women in Congress are standing with Afghan women and girls, and we try to talk about it in all of the committees that we are in. And we also recognize the strategic geography of Afghanistan and what it means to some of the other work that we're doing in the region. So yes, it's not a Republican or a Democratic issue. It's a moral issue. We went to war. We asked for help. We got help from translators, from all kinds of folks, and we owe it to them to protect them. And when I've talked to Republican colleagues who have served, they can tell me stories of their translator, of that person's family, of what they meant to them. And they remain committed to making sure that they're safe. When I talk to veterans organizations, people are sharing stories about the people that they were in the field with, who kept them alive. And those are the stories that we have to share continuously because Americans are good people. And we do care about peace. And we do care about women not being hurt or attacked or dehumanized or silenced or maimed. And we know that that is happening over there right now. And if more women are sent back, we know that those things could happen to them. And I'm not willing to be silent about that.
Congresswoman, you raised a very important point that I haven't heard from many people in the U.S., that is a moral responsibility that Americans overall, especially the United States government, might have regarding what happened in Afghanistan during U.S. presence in Afghanistan, and also what is going on right now. Let me ask this question again, that do you think that the United States government has a moral responsibility to take some actions regarding human rights and overall Afghan people's situation in Afghanistan?
Yes, I do.
Can you explain that, how that moral responsibility would look like in a reality?
Well, I think it would look like getting this bill passed. I think it would look like resourcing the part of the State Department that would document the conditions, that would submit a report, that would remind people what, in fact, the Taliban is doing, that we would re-emphasize our support by allocating the necessary resources to protect the Afghans who are here, that we would extend visas, that we would support the resettlement programs, that we would work to make sure that those who are here are able to get jobs and get an education, that we would reaffirm the partnerships that we have with other countries that have also helped us with resettlement, double back, reconfirm that commitment, that we would essentially deepen our diplomacy toolbox apparatus. Because at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about. How can we work together based on a shared set of values to do what is right, what is morally right and just? We need more of that.
So I know it would be hard, but we would like to know any possible timeline for these bills. Would appreciate if you are able to give our audiences a clear picture, like, in a year, 6 months, 2 months, 1 year.
Yeah. So I don't have my crystal ball on me. I left it in the other room. I'm always hopeful. Here's the thing. For folks who might not know, 2026 is an election year, and we will be headed to the polls in November for sure. So hopefully there can be enough interest that something good can happen before November, so that those who are running for re-election can tout it as something that they helped achieve. Now, that means that my Republican colleagues have to do their work of convincing the administration, this president, to sign it, or we have to be strategic and slip it into another bill that the president loves and, of course, will sign. I think there are a lot of ways to get this done, but it is all hands on deck to try to make that happen.
Do you think that the Trump administration and State Department betrayed Afghan colleagues?
Yes, I do.
Would you explain a little bit about that?
I think we made a commitment, and it's not the United States of America made a commitment to the Afghans when we went to war, and we found allies who are willing to help us. And we made a moral commitment to be there for them. I think that goes beyond an administration. And that kind of value proposition shouldn't change regardless of who is president. And if you don't have enough conviction coming from the White House, then you have to find that conviction in Congress. We are as powerful as the administration, especially when we're working together in a bipartisan manner. If we renege on our promise to the Afghan people, then it will give everyone else pause that we are not a credible partner. And I think that would be a very dangerous position for us to find ourselves in as we continue to live in a global environment where you need to have as many friends as you have enemies.
Before we wrap it up, so one question, Congresswoman, I have been in touch with many Afghan Americans. My personal understanding is that many Afghan Americans feel that in some ways there are generalizations about them. They got pictured as not trusty or trustworthy people, something like that. Many Afghans who worked hard with Americans in Afghanistan, their families, they share the stories that, in many cases, the United States government looked at them as suspicious. So it's a huge concern. How you view that, those stories that I'm sharing, and how that understanding or this perspective can be changed, because they are Americans and they love this country, and they worked with Americans for the United States national interest in Afghanistan.
Well, hearing that hurts my heart. And I want to apologize to all of the Afghans who feel that way. I want to apologize on behalf of this president, because it is this president and his policies that are making them feel that way. And I want to tell them that it's not true, that I and many of my colleagues see the Afghan community as a courageous one, a resilient one, diverse, strong in faith, and a commitment to democracy and to fighting against injustice. And I have an obligation to uphold that and to share that with my colleagues here so that we can do the important and necessary work to both apologize and to reaffirm our commitment to them that we are not going to leave them alone.
Well, that's very nice of you. Many Afghan women, many Afghan families know that you're working very hard, as I mentioned in the beginning. So I would like to ask this question as well, that now, as we talked, Afghan girls and women are living in a very hard situation, but they are hopeful. And now we have social media, internet, this interview. People, Afghan girls and women, look at other, examples like yourself. I know we understand that American women had a hard time as well in the past. So, what is your message, personal message, to those girls and women that are struggling to find a way for a better future, a better tomorrow for themselves?
I would just tell these young women and girls to not give up on themselves, to continue to listen to their own voice. Oftentimes we are caught up in trying to hear everyone else's voice, and we forget the most powerful one, and that's our own. And to be proud of who they are, to be proud of their journey, to support their own resiliency, and to never give up. And I would let them know that they give someone like me hope. I was in the hearing talking about a bill, and I looked up at the faces of these young Afghan women who were here trying to fulfill a dream of getting an education. And they inspired me. They inspired me to keep talking about the bill and to keep fighting for its passage. So I hope I'm giving them hope, but I'm letting them know that they are giving me hope.
Congresswoman, let's end this interview on this powerful message. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.